Welcome to Quick Tech Talk, hosted by Michael Anderson and Daniel Sloan.
Hey folks, welcome to the Quick Tech Talk. We are joined today by my co-host Daniel Sloan and guest Wassim Jarkas, who is a leader in 5G network transformation. Today we will discuss 5G networks, smart cities, and internet access globally. Thank you for joining us, Daniel and Wassim. Always great to see you, Daniel.
Good to see you, Michael. Hi, Wassim.
Thank you, Michael, and it's a pleasure to have me on this show also. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, Wassim, could you tell us a little bit about digitalization and how it affects our lives?
Yeah, surely. I mean, we've been hearing a lot about digitization and digital transformation nowadays. So maybe we could explain it in an easier way. What is it about, and what is this whole fuss about the digital transformation? So basically, what we're talking about is a process, a model, technology, and the culture itself. So these four components constitute what the digital transformation or digitization is. So you'll have to modernize your processes to use digital channels. You have to optimize your model so that it is adapting to all these digital tools that we are having instead of the paperwork and all the bureaucratic, human intensive manual work that is underlying all of our daily life and daily routines. And culture is a very important component where people has to have an acceptance for this digital transformation and for the technology, so to say, to start taking over their lives and their routines slowly and surely. Many people do not feel comfortable doing that, but at a certain point in time, with all these digitals, the mobile phones and the connectivities that we are having, sooner or later it's taking over and over more of our daily routines and daily lives. So these four main simplistic way to define what digitization and what digital transformation is ultimately is allowing technology through a controlled process and model and cultural acceptance to take over more and more our daily routines and daily life routines, to introduce some kind of efficiency in doing things in a smarter way and in a quicker way.
Yeah. Oh, one question I have for you, Wassim, after thinking about that is, you spend a lot of time internationally and live internationally. Where are you seeing some of the pushback or resistance to things going digital?
I believe it's the cultural aspect is the main component that is probably creating some kind of resistance to adopt digital. At a certain point in time, you have to trust, and trusting sometimes with some private information, trusting with things that are probably too personal to you. And at a certain point in time, you need to establish that level of trust to let go and allow digital to start running those daily chores of yours that are probably consuming your time unnecessarily. And you can dedicate that portion of time in doing things that are probably more productive for you instead of spending time and spending effort in thinking about those chores and performing them. So people need to get the trust factor, number one. And number two, need to be convinced that by digitization and introducing a digital model, it's going to improve their quality of life by allowing them more time to do things that are more important to them. And this is how it's going to improve their efficiency and they'll improve their quality of life and to improve their productivity at time.
Thank you. Well said.
No, absolutely. And, that really has got me thinking, when you start talking about, how this digitization is going to change our lives. And, we've already seen that now with, how prevalent cell phones are. And, we've got 4G now. Talk to me a little bit about why 5G is so special, why people are excited about it, and how is that going to have an effect on our everyday life?
True enough. I mean, 5G is starting to roll out in many countries in the world. And 5G has many promises associated with it. I mean, 5G, the first relevant thing that's going to come with 5G is this ultra speeds that we're going to experience through our connectivity, whether it's through our mobiles, through our desktops, through our laptops. So it's going to introduce a whole new realm of connectivity by allowing ultra high speeds. And we're talking about speeds that are in the gigabit per second on your small handset. So you can imagine the potential. We're talking about the 4G you mentioned. 4G at maximum, you will be having probably in the megabits, 100 megabits, 150 megabits if you're really having a good connection and good network. While 5G is going to offer you the gigabit per second promise at the end of time. So you could imagine the abundance of information that you will be able to process through your digital tools you're having, whether it's mobile phones or other iPads or tablets or laptops. But it's not only about these high speeds. Of course, with high speeds, the technology is going to evolve and you will be able to process a lot of information. But 5G is going to offer much more. I don't want to sound too technical here, but 5G is going to introduce faster internet, not only in terms of speed, but in simple technical terms, in terms of responsiveness. So the far end is going to be able to respond to you in a much quicker way. That's what we call in technical term latency. It's going to offer super low latency. And by these super low latencies, it's going to unlock a whole new realms of services that is going to improve our quality of life. I could probably mention 5 quick, most obvious transformations that can be enabled by 5G technology. The number one is smart cities. All these super responsiveness and ultra high speeds is gonna deliver the promise of smart cities at the end of the time. And 5G is gonna be a big enabler, and it is already starting to be a big enabler to really unlock the potential of smart cities. Second thing, which is very interesting, it's very controversial in our days right now, is the way we work. I mean, the industrialization of what we work, all these IoTs, what they call it, the Internet of Things. We will have so many connected things in our world, especially in the factories, in the labs, let's say car production, all the industrialized kind of productions we are having. It's going to be much quicker, much faster, and we will be able to respond to many demands and many inputs at the same time by introducing a whole new kind of sensors all around our industries. I understand this can be very controversial issues because people are reluctant, and when you hear about that, they will see that, okay, what about the loss of jobs and these kind of discussions is having. That's a totally different discussion, which we can maybe have it later. But in terms of introducing and unlocking that capability, 5G is there, and it will unlock this capability in a very, very interesting manner. Probably a third thing we could think about 5G and how it's gonna unlock and improve our quality of life is driverless things, like the driverless cars, driverless deliveries, the drones that we have seen already, like the likes of Amazon, where they started to deliver your packages using your drones. These are using 5G connectivities where it's going to drop your package in a very accurate manner in the location you have specified. The driverless robots where you put your food delivery and then they will be delivering it to you is with very small machines. And then the driverless cars overall, like the Teslas and all these driverless cars, we've been talking about. 5G is going to unlock this potential. Probably another interesting thing I could mention about 5G and how it's going to improve the life is telemedicine. Probably, and it's happening in Korea already, South Korea, it's happening already, where probably a surgeon in the US, in California, or I don't know, New York somewhere, can actually have some tools in his hand, and he is going to be performing a very precise surgical operation for a patient in Southeast Asia, where they do not have this kind of maybe highly skilled, highly experienced kind of doctors. And then doctors in many countries can exchange information and data in real time, and they can do very accurate prognosis and diagnosis for patients. And as I mentioned, they can probably do these operation procedure, and it has already happened in many instances. Examples we can see probably in Korea. So this can improve the quality of life a lot. Probably the last thing I can mention, not to take too long time, is very relevant to the situation we are in right now, the COVID, right? And everybody is at home, and we need to do meetings and the social distancing and all these precautions being taken by the COVID and the pandemic. 5G, with its capabilities and the speeds and the responsiveness and the latency, is going to be unlocking the virtual spaces, what we call the virtual spaces, right? So gaming, I can be virtually present in your premises, you can be virtually present in our premises. The kind of telcos and conferences we're doing right now, 5G will enable us to do it in real time, in higher quality, and in a very near future, there are prototypes where you actually can project a hologram of yourself where I am sitting, or maybe a hologram of myself where I am sitting, and you can have an actual meeting with 5 or 6 persons, everybody in different place, but the hologram are sitting in front of you. That's freakish.
My hair color? Can I
match it better? Yeah, you could do that. There will be some options, I believe, right?
I'm gonna have brown hair. I'm gonna have a dimple on my chin. I like this.
Yeah. You can be more fit also. You can grow muscles, right?
Absolutely.
Make me 6 inches taller. We'd be in business.
Yeah. Well, you'd mentioned initially is your first benefit with smart cities, and I know Michael was keen to talk to you and had some questions about smart cities.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of smart cities, and I've had dear friends working on smart city development internationally. But in terms of our audience, could you dig in and explain a little bit more about what is a smart city and what type of new benefits will people in urban areas see through citywide network transformation?
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting topic, and it's evolving. I think it's in its nascency, but the potentials are limitless, actually. Imagine a city where probably everything around you is actually connected. So it has a small brain of its own, like the street light, the lampposts, the traffic lights, to a degree, even the plants around you, the greeneries, the plants. Wow. They have sensors all around you. They have sensors. So imagine a plant that is actually going dry, or it's exposed to extra humidity that is not suitable for its environment. It's gonna send you a signal that's telling you that, hey, I need water. Hey, there is extra humidity, or I am being exposed to extra temperature and I cannot withstand it. So you can come and do something about me in order for me to stay healthy. Things will be talking to you. So it is everything around you will have sensors and will be able to communicate to you, to your devices, mobile phones, tablets, in a way or another, to tell you things and facts about themselves. And then you can react to that, and the interactions will become very interesting. And by virtue of these connected things around you, the quality of life is going to improve to an extent and to levels that we could only have imagined. We have seen them in science fiction movies, but it's actually happening as we speak right now. We've all dreamed that what if I had my own assistant, no matter what level of job you are. You don't need to be a chief or a president or a vice president anymore to have your assistant. By having all these connected things around you, your mobile phone is actually your personal assistant and everyone's personal assistant wherever you go. No matter where device you have your personal assistant who is constantly connected with all these things around you. Your assistant is talking to them. They are talking to him. They are forming an understanding of the environment around you. And then you can go and ask your assistant about anything and your assistant is going to be ready to respond to you in a very quick manner. You can ask your digital assistant to hire an Uber, to order a pizza, to check the temperature, to check the forecast. Uh, I mean, you could mention it, and this is what smart cities is going to offer at the end of the time. It's all about having everything around you connected and sending signals and thinking, and you will be in a position to understand and hear and act upon all those things that are connected around you and sending those signals. So it's a very interesting thing. I try to simplify it, but really the limit is the imagination there. I mean, you could think about thousand things that the smart cities are going to offer and improve the benefit of life. You would have a sensor if you are a senior citizen. You would have a sensor in your wrist or in your finger, and probably it will be able to detect if you are having an early symptoms of a heart attack or maybe a seizure, and it will send the signal automatically to first response. And by the time probably you are about to start to have the heart attack, God forbid, you will have the first response already nearby to you and trying to probably improve your chances of survival. This is what smart cities are going to do to us as human beings.
Well, that's exciting. Like you said, those things you've only dreamed about or seen in science fiction films.
Very true, very true. But it is happening. It is really happening. And again, as we mentioned in our earlier discussion, that 5G is one of the main pillars that is enabling those smart cities and the potential of smart cities. Cities that are undergoing the urban planning and urban modernization right now, which is probably it was the underdeveloped world that is developing, or underdeveloped societies that are developing right now, are actually, for the irony of it, in a much better position to benefit from smart cities, because they are coming with this new infrastructure.
Yeah.
The relatively developed cities actually will have to undergo a massive transformation in order to actually transform them to the level of smart cities. That's for the irony of things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, that makes me think about, we understand what we're going to have to do in a developed city, right? To come in and bring in 5G and obviously so much easier with new. But talk to us about what are some of the initiatives going on. I mean, you talked about these digital systems for everybody, but if I don't have internet, right? If I'm in a part of the world where there's no internet at all, I don't get to have my own personal assistant on my phone. So what kind of projects are going on now to kind of promulgate and bring bring the internet and bring 5G to the world?
Yeah, you know what? The first thing that pops in my head right now is the I don't know how to say it in a way that, but it's probably one of the most controversial technologists of all times that we're hearing about right now, Mr. Elon Musk. I think uncontested. Technical lunatic geek, whatever you want to call it, in a positive way, probably, right? So one of his projects right now is launching around 4,200 satellites. Yes, it's a project called Starlink. It's actually starting in the US right now with these low orbit satellites. We call it the LEOs. The project is called Starlink, but eventually it's going to be spreading all around the world. And he started actually, I think he has already put in the orbit hundreds of satellites. Now, those satellites actually are going to able to offer these connectivities seamlessly all over the world in a relatively quick manner. So basically, wherever you are in the world, you will be able to have these connectivities. You don't have to rely on the cell towers and having probably a radio tower or a cell tower nearby to you, or have to wait for your service provider until he reaches the area and to roll out the service nearby to you, and then you have to probably to wait or to have to request, and then these things take time in remote areas, in rural areas. These kind of projects like the Starlink and similar to Starlink are actually being rolled out right now, and they are being installed. And sooner rather than later, we will have a ubiquitous connection all around the world in the most remote areas, in the Amazons, in the mountains, in areas that are totally uninhabited. Those satellites are going to offer this connectivity, and they will be linked to the Earth, of course, towers. So we will have all this connectivity being installed, and then the less privileged areas and underdeveloped areas would be able to benefit from this connectivity and this potential ultimately. And this is something that is happening right now. And knowing that Elon Musk is doing this already, I would assume that probably many others is going to be jumping on the board in similar manner. I know Google is engaged in a similar project that is probably also controversial, where they are actually launching balloons, air balloons, right, all around those cities, and they will be able to offer connectivity using these balloons from the